Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say good morning. Good morning, beautiful students and people, and whoever's watching. Oh, I forgot to put on my earrings. Let me do that. So, let's just have a little coffee chat and talk about what's going on. This is a little bit of an update, and just want to chat a little bit about I don't know what you might be feeling, because I know that I'm experiencing things, and I feel like there are some very specific things that we are being challenged by right now, and I wanted to share that with you because I know if I'm feeling these things, I definitely know that you guys are. So let's get into it. Right now, one of the things that we're here to learn, and this is actually last month was a big part of it too, but it's kind of carried over in a slightly different way. And one of the things you may have been noticing within yourself, as I have, is triggers. There's been a lot of triggers, triggers of fear and triggers of loss. And we had this last month, and it seems like it's carried over. Now, last month, I felt like a lot of my old historical fears were triggered, and I had to really look within myself. We all have historical belief systems. If we've done our work, like in the coaching course, the 6-pillar coaching course that I have, the master coaching, you look at all of that, and even in resolution therapy, you look at your money story, and you look at all these different things that you have believed historically and where they come from, right? And you have to look at those things in order to know that they're there, because a lot of times they just exist on this plane of like subconscious, right? It's just there, and we're like this onion, this layer, all these layers on us, and we're just reacting and doing things based on our old historical stories. And in really looking at yourself, you start to identify what those stories are if you consciously seek that. And I'm the only person I've ever known who's actually asked these questions to really unpack it. I've never heard anybody else ask me to look at my historical story and what was the storylines of my parents, and other people to see kind of how those stories kind of made their way onto me. And so I know one of my stories, is lack of abundance and worry about that stuff. And so, certain things will happen with the instability of the world that will trigger a lot of things with you, or when you see changes in certain things, and right away you get worried, and you feel that your trigger of your old story comes up. But the difference is that you're aware of it, right? So I'm aware of what my triggers are, and what I've noticed going on, last month a lot, because there's a lot of growth. I've also noticed that the triggers have been there because of the state of the world, and things are changing. People are feeling a pinch in their revenue, or different things are kind of dying down a little bit, or not seeing people as actively buying or doing other things like that. That happens because there's wars on, right? So we all react to these things, and we get triggered. And there's also a lot of personal things going on with people where they have a lot of there's people coming in and there's people leaving our lives, and so or changing the dynamic of, maybe they're still there, but they just are not going to have the significance in our life that they once did. And there's a lot of kind of mourning the things that we used to believe in, and then having to move forward into a new us. And so it brings up a lot of fears. So fear and loss, and whatever that loss is, it really is determined by what's going on in your own personal life and what your own historical stories have been. But I want to talk about the ways in which, for me personally, I'm addressing those things. I was going to say combat those things, but it's actually the opposite of fighting it, right? It's we can go in with this thing like, oh, we're going to fight this battle against these things. And that energy just creates more anxiety for us. At least it does for me. So one of the first things is, that I've learned is surrender. To surrender to what is without a fight, without adding anything to it. So if someone is making changes to certain things and you don't have any control over those changes, you have to surrender to, this is the way it is. I'll give an example of that. Is like if you are working within a company and the company heads are changing certain things, or they're just changing certain things within their own company. You can't control that because you're not running the company. So you don't really get to decide whether or not that change happens or doesn't happen. You just have to understand that it's happening. And there's certain things in life that we don't control, and we can sit and rage against the machine and we can do all of these things, but it really doesn't matter. All it does is it adds to the anger, energy, and the frustration, and it adds to our fears about the change. And that's what it is there are legitimate fears that we have in regards to the change, but to add anger and then start really getting involved and I'm going to email and I'm going to do all this stuff, all it does is it creates more energy of the kind you don't want, right? You want peace. I know I do. So what's really helped me is to surrender to that and understand, like, whatever's happening, I'm surrendering to what is, because that's what's happening. And I'm not going to add anything to it. I'm not going to add my fear, my anger, my rage, my discussion. I'm going to surrender. And the next thing is to trust the universe. I'm going to trust that I'm going to be okay. When I don't add any kind of fearful, negative energy to it, and I accept what is, and I trust that the universe is going to take care of me. I'm going to keep doing all the things. And this is another one on the list, is keep moving forward. Keep pursuing, keep doing the thing that you have been doing. That's another part of this, is like if you surrender to what is and you just acknowledge it's happening, and then you trust the universe is going to take care of you, and the way that you just respond to that is by keep moving forward in the thing that you're doing. Keep doing that, and that will help. The other thing I always go to is I always look at things and say, on my deathbed, I'm not going to care about that. So think of whatever the thing is that's making you scared or triggering you, and then asking yourself, are you going to care about that on your deathbed? You're not. Most of the stuff that we worry about, we're not going to care about when that day happens. We're going to care about the people that are with us, that love us, and all of that. So those are the things that I do, to maintain a balance. And that's the thing, is that when we are triggered, we get out of balance. And we start tapping into that triggered energy, which is all the negative energies we don't want to be in, anger, rage, frustration, pain, sorrow, feeling like the world is out to get us, all the things that we don't want to live in. When we react and we start giving into those things, that's where we end up. And so our job is just to maintain a balance during those times. And then one of the most important things that really helped me is when I started really thinking about how things affect me, like how this change is going to affect me, right? This is where the fears are happening. I remember the principle, and I'm going to be doing a course. I'm actually recording a course on this right now, on the Dokodo. And there's 21 principles. It's the Masterless Samurai. And it really has to do with us loving ourselves, and that's why the course is called Love Forensics and Dokodo Practitioner, because I'm taking the unpacking everything about love and applying it through the eyes of the Dokodo, the 21 principles. because we are all masterless samurais, right? We're all out there just growing on our own and trying to figure it out. And so there's one principle that says think lightly of yourself. And when we start to get into a rage, when we start to fear, when we start to worry about loss and fear and all these other things and change and how it affects us, all of a sudden, aren't we not thinking lightly of ourselves? We are really thinking heavily about ourselves and what's going on with ourselves. We become like, one track vision of just me, like me, how things are affecting me. And the Dokoro says, think lightly of yourself. And that really helped me this morning in thinking about that, because I realized that when you're in the process of fear, you're doing the exact opposite. You're thinking all about yourself, because you're trapped in your tunnel vision of fear and loss. And a lot of times the stuff that we are afraid of never even happens, so I want you to apply all of these things that I'm applying currently, and throughout my life I will be applying these things, but I wanted to kind of give an update on what's going on right now in the world and what a lot of you might be triggered by, because you can know, when people say, oh, I know that, we could all know all of that, but it doesn't matter when we're in it. When we're in it, we need to apply it. And sometimes we get stuck in our defaults of applying the same thing we've always applied. And so it's good to have a reminder, even if you feel you know these things, to hear somebody, new or somebody else saying it again, or just giving you a reminder, think lightly of yourself, accept what is, trust the universe will care for you. It always does. And keep moving forward in whatever your pursuit of happiness is. Keep doing that thing, and just think lightly of yourself and greatly and deeply of the people in the world, right? That's the thing. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of others. And if you do those things, you will find that you get through what's going on right now in your life. And like for me in my life, and whatever comes up for me, it makes it easier for me to get through it when I apply these principles and these thought patterns, right? So I hope this has helped you. It's been a while since my last Wisdom Wednesday video, but I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please leave comments below and let me know what you think, and if there's anything that you want me to talk about, let me know. But comment on how you're feeling right now and what's going on in the world and what you do to help yourself get through it. Okay, so I'll talk to you guys very soon.